Hello, I'm Paige Rattray. I'm the Associate Director at Sydney Theatre Company. Today we're in the rehearsal room of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof with our Artistic Director and Director of the show, Kip Williams.
Hi Paige.
Hello. And Hugo Weaving, who is playing the family patriarch, Big Daddy.
Hi Paige.
Welcome, thank you. So we're going to start with you, Kip. When you approach a piece of work, what is the design process? How did you get us into, or how did you come to the rehearsal room day one?
Well, the design process is a very involved process. I work with a set designer, a costume designer, a lighting designer, and a composer. And one of the first things we do is read the play out loud to each other. So we play all the different roles terribly, just to get a sense of the sound of the piece, the world of the piece, to really immerse ourselves in it. And then the fundamental question we ask ourselves is, what is the space that we need to conceive of in order to tell this story? And that isn't so much banal questions like, you know, where do we need a door, or where do we need, you know, a cupboard or something. We get to that. But it's more about, like, what is the arc of the story, and how is the space going to evolve over the course of this night of theatre in order to support that story. And so in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, there's a very simple evolution of the space that matches the way that the story unfolds, and we took quite a long time to crack that and then to detail it, but that is the fundamental question that we start with.
Wonderful. And what about you, Hugo? Once you're cast in a play, what kind of preparation do you do before you come into the rehearsal room?
Similar to Kip in a way, I suppose. You start from reading it again and again and again, and get. I mean, I'd be doing that even before the agreement on, yes, this is what we're going to be doing. So really have a good think about what is this play? Why are we doing it? Why do we need to do it? Why do I want to do it? Sometimes you just absolutely just know instinctively you want to be doing it, and then you work out the whys afterwards, because that's actually the best reason to do it in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I just read the script again and again, and then that will take me down, depending on what the piece is and the role is, it'll take me down all sorts of different avenues to do with character, obviously, but what this whole world is, and what this story is we're telling. So what do I need to be able to illuminate as an actor within that world? What do I need to know, or what do I need to explore? So it's just a big learning process, really, going back to school and doing all your kind of excited research on a piece. So and that's never ending. That just keeps going all the way through the rehearsal and into the production itself. There's usually something I'm still reading. I quite like to actually keep reading something to do with the piece while we're doing it, just to keep on bringing fresh things in as the production's, you know, happening.
Keep you inspired.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah.
How does that then, for you, I'll ask you both this question actually, bring you to first day of rehearsals? What does that look like? And I'm also interested in how you feel on day one, because I know as a director, quite often the first day I always have a small moment of crisis just before going, do I know how to direct a show? It's just this strange thing that
I think it's a normal good thing.
It's a normal good thing, isn't it? Most directors I talk to, I think, feel that way. But how do you feel on first day of rehearsals, and what's your process in getting through that first day?
Very nervous, very excited.
Yeah.
Generally, I will have spent time with the cast, or most of the cast, to have an initial conversation about it, and the ideas have sort of already been seeded in some way. And I think that's a great way to break those first day nerves, that you're already in some ways inside the conversation already. Yeah. But on a day one of rehearsals, you have to present the design and your concept for the show to the entire company. So you've got all your cast, all your creative team there, and then every member of Sydney Theatre Company comes into the room and you present to them. So it's a sort of big way to start, and a wonderful way to start. And then we read the play out loud, and it's a very exciting moment.
First of all, we have tea and coffee and cakes.
A lot of cake.
And gossip.
Gossip,
and then,
cake.
Come on, we've got to do some work.
I cracked the whip. Yeah. And then you hear the play read out loud for the first time, and it's so thrilling, because you've all of the people involved have been sitting thinking about this independently for so long. There've been conversations, but it's the first time you're hearing it with all of the people present who are going to make this thing and get a sense of how it's going to come to life, and that's very thrilling. And then you embark on a detailed, slower read of starting to break it down and asking questions and opening up that group conversation about the ideas in the piece.
What about you, Hugo? How do you feel on first day?
Well, it's the same. I think a combination of nerves and excitement. And I agree with Kip. There are things that you've already talked about. In fact, there are things you need to have talked about before day one rehearsal, because there's a certain amount of preparation that you do that is kind of dependent on knowing what sort of production this is.
Absolutely.
You can. I mean, for instance, with Cat and a Hot Tin Roof, we would talk about, well, is this in Mississippi? Are we going to do this in accent? Are we doing it in period? What just answering very basic things like that.
Yeah.
And why are we doing these things, and why are we not doing them? And then, of course, that means, well, okay, if we are doing accent, then you need to kind of go away and start getting into that, listening to that for as long as you can before you come into the rehearsal room. So there are certain preparatory things that it's always good to have seeded in advance.
Yeah.
But the day itself is often it's interesting here, working with the Sydney Theatre Company here, because it was quite different. I mean, we're in a space now which the Sydney Theatre Company is in for a brief period of time.
Yes.
After having been at the Wharf premises for ever. So everything I've ever done with the STC pretty much has been either rehearsed there, or actually before the Wharf was built I was rehearsing somewhere else. But I associate rehearsal with walking down that long Wharf kind of gangplank. It feels like sometimes a gangplank, but it also feels like the most wonderfully welcoming place, and it is a great place to work. So it was strange having day one here in one way, because it was without that sort of the atmospherics that you normally get about with day one, coming back to a familial group, and there's a certain shared thing. A lot of you have worked together, not in that particular kind of particular group, but elements of it. So there's all of that as well, bringing a familial thing, and we are prosecuting a play about family. And actually, in this play, I'm working with my real son, and we've got a couple in the cast, and there's familial aspects to it.
Yeah.
So all of those sort of interesting things kind of come out on day one too, and just catching up with people and then settling into, oh my God, actually, so we're starting this piece, and everyone's preparatory work starts sort of just gently seeding into the read, and then it's a question of, well, how technical is the read, how clear is the read, or how much do we want the read to actually emotionally kind of take us somewhere?
Yeah.
And that's always a bit of a movable feast, and sometimes it just finds its place, and sometimes it's a little cool, but it's clear, and sometimes it has you get a sense of where it might go to. So that's always really interesting, I think. I kind of love all that.
That was a wonderful description of how it feels on the first day. It was amazing. Things, I think, I'd love to know, Kip, how so obviously you have your first read, and then you have the slower kind of reading around the table, going through, pulling things apart, and then you make your way onto the rehearsal room floor, which is another big step in the process. How do you approach that? How do you work on the floor with your actors? How do I work on the floor with my actors?
I think it's actually been quite seamless this time round, and my experience with Kip is actually we tend to get up on the floor quite quickly, which is, I think, as a rule of thumb, a pretty good idea, because then the kind of chasm between sitting around talking about something and doing it doesn't seem so massive. Yeah. Sometimes you can sit around and talk, and it's great, and everyone loves that. And then you can, but I think. So you kind of create this thing, and you've built it so much, then you get on the floor, you go, Jesus, I don't know how to walk or stand or be. So I think Kip tends to get up quite early, which is
That's
good.
good.
So we're all just jump up and see what happens. You know,
Great.
jump up and we're all holding the scripture, we're all walking around. This is the space, introduce the space, and this is be where the bed is, or we're going to move this or this, you know. So you kind of get a sense of just feeling bodies in space, and the words are coming out, and you're all wandering around, and sometimes it just, there are sort of physical patterns and movements which just seem absolutely just immediately exciting and liberating. And other times you just know you've sort of just walked into a bit of a swamp, and that's all right. Well, it's only day one, so whatever. You know, what am I doing? That's okay. So I quite like that too. Is actually, it doesn't. Failure is a thing we have to embrace at all turns, and indeed failure is the way you learn, and not finding something is exactly what prompts the question, well, what are we looking for, or what, you know? So all of those problems are in themselves illuminations, I think, or they can be.
Yeah, and I quite like to sit in problems too, just to sort of wait for it to reveal the solution in some ways.
There are some sections of play you just know are sort of locked up for you. You can't quite mind them, can't quite find them. You just need to keep on slowly dissolving that, just gently looking at it, or maybe even just let it be, you know, walk away from it and do other things. And some things percolate over time, and some things just come like a bolt out of the blue, and some things you never thought of just go, oh wow, that's a really powerful moment, actually.
And it's sort of what we're talking about is a process that's about discovery and being surprised by what you're going to find on the floor, which is partly why I like to get on the floor so quickly, is because really you can talk about it, but until you're up on the floor and until two actors are working opposite each other inside the scene, you're never really going to crack the full depths of it. And I like to
talk about it anywhere when you're up, but a lot of the conversations you might have at the table, you don't need to have when you're up, because actually you've started to take it where it needs to go, and then a lot of those other conversations aren't necessary, or you can have them on the floor anyway, you know, or you can have them by using the language and being in a physical space.
And so those moments, Kip, that feel really good, do you have a process where after you've explored something, you relay that to your cast members? That felt really right, let's go back to that again, let's try something different here, or do you just let it play out and then the actors instinctually will go back to those moments?
It depends.
Bit of both.
Bit of both. And I mean, I sort of work quite a lot, I think, you might disagree, from a place of positivity. So I'll constantly be affirming the things that I think are good.
Great.
You know, I know I'll be upfront about some things if I think that we haven't found the moment yet. But I mean, every actor is well, some actors are drastically different from each other, some are slightly different from each other, but every actor is unique and working slightly in their own individual way. And so when you're getting up on the floor, if you haven't worked with the actor before, you're just sort of starting to sense how they discover things, what their creative process is, and how you're going to marry that into that actor's creative process, and seeing how they're negotiating each other. And
I think, you could be very alarmed, couldn't you, if coming to some rehearsal rooms and seeing the different ways in which actors approach it, and you're going, oh my God, why have I cast all these? But they're terrible. And like, what's he doing? He's so like mechanical, and that person's just so emotional, and that person can't do this and has. But it's you know, it's just allowing things to be explored, I think, and I think Kip's great at that, allowing each process to be very different, because actors are very different, and some actors are off their books, you know, really quickly, and they might feel they need to be because they've got a massive slab of stuff they've had to have done a lot of work before we start, and some actors just take very slow and just taking every little ounce of rehearsal time all the way up to the opening night and beyond, just to keep on, just you know, and they're there. Other people are there very early and then keep on layering, then might go through a process of eating themselves up and going, I can't do it. you know, so we're all different. So I think the great skill that Kip shows actually is that he he does. Yeah, I think you are positive. I think you are very positive. And so there's very few no's, which, you know, I mean, you generally know stuff yourself anyway. Yeah. And it's, just go back and explore it. If something feels right, it feels right to do it again. But then sometimes you think, well, I've only ever done that one thing in that scene. Maybe it's wrong, you know. Maybe we should explore something else. So have those little discussions as well.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
There's another thing added into the mix. You have 8 children. In this show.
Yes.
How does that change the rehearsal room? Because that's a completely different energy altogether.
Yes, it was
That's
quite a
great.
process of auditioning them as well. I think we saw like 250 kids.
Really?
Yeah, and the kids
Wow.
in this show are Hugo's grandchildren, and he has to not like them. And so,
Not my grandchildren.
I was going to
the
say,
character.
no,
no, the
yeah,
character
absolutely.
I'm not that old.
you don't have grandchildren.
Noted.
But,
Big Daddy's grandchildren.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find sort of the most playful, creative, energetic young actors,
Yeah.
and we put them on the floor for the first time 2 days ago, and it just changed
It
everything.
was actually great.
Was it?
Yeah, there's sort of, so they're in 2 groups,
Yeah.
aren't they? Because we will, on each night, we will have 4 of them.
Yeah.
And then the next night, there'll be the other 4.
Right,
So,
yeah.
but we had all 8 of them, and we'd been through this part of the scene without them the day before, and then this was sort of introducing them to the set and playing little games with them and just, you know, getting them relaxed. And I mean, they all seem pretty great anyway. Then moving through the scene with them after sort of taking them through it technically, then sort of doing it with them. And one of them involved them singing a song. There's a sort of birthday celebration for this character, so they sing this quite nauseating happy birthday song to Big Daddy, and it's so sort of saccharine, but they were wonderful.
Yeah.
It totally brought the rehearsal room to life, and actually added a lot of great energy, which made a lot of sense to me of the sort of breathing space of the scene, actually.
Yeah.
Without them, it had felt oddly empty, and I knew we needed to find a great deal more overlapping and noise, but they just introduced them, they provided that for us. So it suddenly felt, this is going to be really great, you know. Even though we're way off, but it felt immediately, that's the element we needed. So
Yeah, wonderful.
and they're going to be throughout the play, you know, being injected into the scene. There's some great stuff he's put in this. His kids, someone running on with sparklers, just screaming, waving them around and running off. So there are
the horror.
There are quite sort of extraordinary, surreal, but you know, childlike things that happen.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I've just got 2 more questions here. They're quite fun questions, actually. Once a play hits the stage, anything can happen.
God.
Hugo,
Yes.
what is one of the most unexpected things that has ever happened to you on stage?
Here we are. Well, I fell through the stage.
What?
I've fallen off the stage into someone's lap in the front row, and there's also been a phone that's flown literally out of the audience into the middle of the stage while we're all on stage. So which one do you want to hear about? All of them?
Ooh, through's pretty
You know,
good.
so usually all the times when the third, you know, the invisible wall disappears, and suddenly we're all. And this phone flew out onto the stage, and we were doing Hedda Gabler, and so that the whole cast was on the stage, and we were all in, you know, 1860s, 1870s clothes, and suddenly this bright blue glowing phone lands in the semicircle of us, and it's there. I mean, everyone can see it. So I think Anthony Way picked the phone and said hello. The audience, you know, erupted and said, "I'm sorry, we're in the middle of a show. I'll put you back. I'll put you onto." And the guy whose phone had gone off, he'd been trying to scramble while we were, and we could hear it going. He'd been trying to get it out of his bag, and people were going shh, shh. And he was going, and he'd been trying to get it out, and he was so he did that, and it flew out of his hands and landed on the.
Poor thing.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
his phone should have been off, but
Yeah,
poor thing.
that's true.
Terrible.
But in the same show, I literally fell off stage
Wow.
into someone's lap, and anyway.
How
So
did you go?
those
Did you get
moments
back up and keep going?
when the sort of well, it was in a blackout, so we had to walk onto stage to be in exactly the same positions that we were on at the end of Act 1,
Yes.
beginning of Act 2, and I just walked a bit too far and turned and fell off the stage, landed in this
terrifying.
woman's lap. She screamed, and as the lights came up, I was literally I was climbing back onto the onto the stage, but half the cast couldn't see me. The audience could. They were laughing. The other cast went on with the play, and I was still trying to.
Oh, I
get
love
back up.
theatre.
So
It's
things
so
like
fabulous.
that.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? You only get them with theatre. Okay, so just final question for both of you. What's your favourite part of the entire process?
Oh, I think that I don't know, the continual learning. So it's a continual thing, really. The continual questioning, I think I love, and then getting a exciting response, whether it's something like an answer or a possibility, or a it's like finding those exciting possible things that happen in rehearsal. You go, oh, imagine that down 6 weeks, 5 weeks down the track with what actually that's going to be like in a theatrical sense. I love that. And then the doing of it itself has to be the great thing, because that's when you're with the audience and they're listening to the story or the play and you're giving it to them.
And that amazing exchange. That
Yeah, I
happens.
think that's so thrilling.
Yeah.
That whole the theatre.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what about for you, Kim?
Oh, probably similar. I think that there are those magic moments that you have during the season where everything that you have been working on as this team for sometimes 18 months, 2 years, coalesces in this moment where everybody's right inside the same world, and it's just kind of extraordinary. It's sort of what you do it for. And I love the rehearsal room.
Yeah.
Just sort of collectively getting inside the mind of the writer and feeling like, particularly with a writer like Tennessee Williams, feeling like you're inside the ebb and flow of the debate inside someone's mind is pretty extraordinary.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to this show. Thank you so much for spending the time.
My pleasure.
And thank you everyone for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.